recommendation and advice, and also capacity building opportunity to government in all its forms to further realize their obligation under the International Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which it's ratified in 2016. The obligation of states under this convention states that states must ensure to provide appropriate resources, including legislations and policies, to ensure persons with disabilities the right to access all services, information, communication, physical environment on an equal basis with others. As part of the obligation of member states, they are also responsible to ensure that legislative amendments are done to ensure no discriminatory provisions to persons with disabilities. And lastly but not the least, recognizing the capacity of persons with disabilities to be consulted in all decisions and developments concerning their lives. As witnessed in this report, the participation of persons with disabilities through the various aspects of the report, no other data collection can better present. It also means that women and girls with disabilities are the agent for their own destiny. Yes, as an advocate of persons with disabilities, I look forward to see and hear the many fruitful programs and initiatives that were born from this significant research. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. And as you mentioned, autonomy, restrictions to personal autonomy, to legal capacity are a key cross-cutting issue across the region that we have identified in all the three countries covered by this report, Samoa, Fiji, and Vanuatu. As you mentioned, in spite of the fact that these countries have ratified the CRPD, for many women and young people with disabilities, decision-making power rests with their families, as you mentioned, and many women and young people with disabilities still face discrimination both in their homes and in their communities. And as I mentioned, this is something also identified in other countries where we conducted research, including Vanuatu. So I would like now to invite Freda Willy from the Sunflower Association from Vanuatu to hear her reflections about also an issue related to the lack of autonomy and how the lack of autonomy impacts other rights, including the rights to be free from gender-based violence. So in this regard, in the Vanuatu report, we have included a quote from a 26-year-old woman of short stature who participated in focus group discussions conducted as part of our women's assessment. And this woman told us, I will quote her, I know of girls with disabilities who are not allowed to go out. If they do, their families will hit or smack them. The families are protective because boys will abuse them. End of quote. So, building on this testimony, Freda, we would like to know more and to explore to what extent women and young people with disabilities living in Vanuatu are able to make autonomous decisions about their lives, and whether women and young people with disabilities are able to report gender-based violence violence, and access to support services, and in case they cannot report to DVB, why this is so. So the floor, Freda, is yours.
Thank you for the opportunity for some of our members to participate. I'm one of the members for Sunpower, also a member of the focus discussion group. Yes, for ASEAN Vanuatu, for the reflection, the statement is true. Women and girls in Vanuatu, when they want to have a decision in sexual reproductive health, they cannot do it by themselves. Given that in Vanuatu culture, women are seen as inferior to men, and we are not allowed to say what we think or what we want in our homes, in the communities. And then we have disability, and that would be like a double discrimination or double, triple discrimination for women and girls having to participate in decision making. If we do, however, as the report states, we usually get a smack or violence from our family members. And if we do have choices we want to make, like oh yeah, I want to have a boyfriend, or deciding on how many children we want, that would give a very bad feedback from family members. And also the male, in the community look down on us. And for the second question, here in Vanuatu, we do not have, we have limited resources on communications. If we have a case, there are stories in the reports that says women and girls are being raped when they have a case to report to the police. The communication level from the police station to the courthouse is very limited. And when we end up in the courthouses, somehow the evidence will not be seen as evidence, because coming from the background, if you have if you are deaf and you cannot communicate well, that would be a barrier, another barrier apart from your disability. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, we have heard about how the lack of autonomy is a key issue across the region, and in addition, how stereotypes, stigma, and attitudinal barriers displayed by both family members and the communities have an impact on the rights of women and young people with disabilities, including their rights to be free from GBV and also to access services after experiencing GBV. And attitudinal barriers, unfortunately, are a cross-cutting issue across the region in terms of the impact they are having on women and young people with disabilities, preventing them from fully enjoying their rights. And we have identified similar trends in the case of Fiji. And to share more about that, I would like to invite Anna Saini Bakaidia from the Fiji Disabled People Federation to share her reflections about this testimony from a woman with a visual impairment who joined a focus group discussion held in Fiji. So this woman told us, and I quote her, "The community laughs and makes fun of pregnant women with disabilities. They openly make comments. Look at her having a disability and being pregnant." End of quote. Anna, considering this testimony, we would like to know more about What are the most prevalent attitudes of community members in Fiji towards women and young people with disabilities? And to what extent and how do these attitudinal barriers impact sexual and reproductive rights for women and young people with disabilities? Anna, the floor is yours.